Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about HubSpot. If you're hustling in the trenches to build a business or bootstrapping one of your own, let's talk about an AI-powered tool that can lighten up your workload a bit. HubSpot's Campaign Assistant is a game changer for creating marketing campaigns at scale. It quickly turns your key selling points into a cohesive pitch, which helps you deliver knockout emails, ads, and landing pages in minutes. So let Campaign Assistant take care of the campaigns so you can get back to growing your business. Work smarter, not harder at HubSpot.com/campaign-assistant.
Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday, August 15th. I'm Mark Dent here with Rob Litterst, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. Today, we're going to talk about how Pop Tarts and Crocs have decided to join together for a new product for some reason. We're going to bring that up as well as a few other odd brand pairings and then discuss why they sometimes work. But first, let's talk about everything else business and tech. Rob, what's caught your attention here today?
Yeah, so the first thing that caught my eye today is related to AI. Absolutely no surprise there.
Yeah.
Every day there's something new going on with AI. But the New York Times has updated its terms of service to forbid AI from training on its content. So essentially what this means is that AI programs cannot crawl the New York Times content and use it in their ever-expanding base of internet knowledge.
Yeah, these AI programs, they just read everything really fast. And that's how they get so smart and they put it all together. And so the New York Times is saying you can't use our content for that.
Right. And so I think the interesting thing here is that any user can still do this with ChatGPT because OpenAI recently showed how to block its web crawler. I've seen a bunch of apps that are essentially built around OpenAI and ChatGPT that help you condense and summarize content. Mm-hmm. The New York Times, obviously being one of the biggest media outlets in the world and one of the most premier sources for content, I think this could cause a trickle effect of other publishers that could severely limit the use of ChatGPT and OpenAI to crawl this content.
It's kind of an interesting, maybe lesson learned for publishers because when Google started to have all kinds of content, everyone was just like, hey, have at it. And nobody really much cared to put a fence around it.
Right.
And they realized a few years later that was a problem for them. And maybe now, certainly some big publishers like the New York Times are a little bit more wise to what might happen if their content is just available to the next sort of big thing in tech.
And New York Times does have a $100 million deal with Google to work together on various tools related to AI, right?
Yeah, I mean, they've got an agreement to work on several things with distribution, subscriptions, marketing, ads, and experimentation, according to The Verge. So, they could be directing this particular warning about its content to others rather than just Google, which of course has Bard as its major AI tool.
Totally. So there could also be kind of like some anti-competitive stuff going on here.
Oh,
but
yeah.
That's a story for another day. Mark, what are you looking at in the news cycle?
So a big story dropped on Monday about Michael Oher, whose name you may not be familiar with, but you actually probably are familiar with him. Michael Oher was a star NFL player who is known as the football player from the movie and the book The Blind Side. So Michael Oher has filed a lawsuit against the Tuohy family, which we know was the family from that movie, Sandra Bullock. Yeah. Sandra Bullock portrayed the mother. So that movie claims that the Tuohy family adopted him. Well, Michael Oher in this lawsuit is saying that he was not adopted and just learned this year, a few months ago, that he was actually put into a conservatorship by the family. There's a huge legal difference within that. People who might follow Britney Spears will be aware of a conservatorship, but it allows somebody else to exert a little bit more control over another person's life than an adoption would, to put it in a very, very simple term. And Oher was unaware of this. And he also said that he didn't make any money from the film The Blind Side, and claims in this lawsuit that the family members made $225,000 each plus 2.5% royalties on the defined net proceeds.
And that movie made like 300 million or something like that, right? Yeah, its box office return was over 300 million. This was on the homepage of ESPN yesterday, and it was kind of the most blown away I've been by the homepage on ESPN in a long time. Not all the facts are out yet, but this does not look good. And if what he's alleging is true, this is going to play out quite a bit, I think, over the pages of ESPN in the coming weeks. All
right, let's move on here. And we're going to talk for a minute about restaurants. So in the summertime, they typically expect somewhat of a boom in sales. People have a bit more free time. They want to get outside. They want to do things. But a report from the Wall Street Journal shows that scorching temperatures and wildfire smoke have not surprisingly been bad for business, leading to a drop in outdoor dining across several parts of the country. Restaurants have also been affected indoors, though, too. According to the Wall Street Journal, which got some data from Open Table, diners overall are down 6 to 8% this August compared to last August in Arizona, Florida, and Georgia. Arizona is where it's been basically 110 degrees or higher almost the entire summer.
Brutal.
You know, it's interesting because outdoor dining has been on the upswing for years, especially since the pandemic. Yelp in February 2020 said that there were around 8,000 restaurants that advertised outdoor dining on their site. That went up to 26,000 by February 2022.
The thing about these wildfires is it's gotten me looking at that air quality index on the weather app, which I literally had never looked at before. And now I'm looking at it way more regularly to figure out, like, can I actually go outside today? Is it safe? Am I going to cough up a lung on wildfire smoke? So it is crazy. I do hope that outdoor dining continues to be a huge trend because I love seeing restaurants push the outdoor dining banner and just pushing more tables outside, especially in cities. I mean, in Boston, a lot of restaurants have done it where they're kind of like pushing their tables out onto the sidewalk and out kind of into the street. And it's got this awesome European feel that I really don't want to see go away.
Pop Tarts and Crocs, two brands that wouldn't seem any farther apart, have gotten together to present Croc Tarts. Rob, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, this is completely insane. And I mean, I think brand collabs have become kind of table stakes at this point. We've seen some crazy ones.
Yes.
So Pop Tarts, Croc Tarts, as they're known, is just this absolutely ridiculous kind of cross-promotional brand partnership where essentially on the Croc side, you have these Pop-Tart shaped charms that you can plug into your Crocs. I don't know if you know anybody that wears Crocs.
I actually just bought a pair, believe it or not.
You're going to have to get some Pop-Tarts inspired gibbets, Mark, because that's going to make your Crocs really pop. So that's what you get is you get these Pop-Tart themed little charms that you can plug into your Crocs to show that you have some flair. And then on the other side of that, it comes with a box of unfrosted strawberry Pop-Tarts that have Crocs shaped candy gibbets charms, which is ridiculous. So you can basically go both ways here, putting the Pop-Tarts on your Crocs and Croc shoes onto your Pop-Tart. Honestly, it's exhausting to even talk about, but it's not the weirdest thing that we've seen. I mean, there have been some pretty crazy brand collabs lately. Mm-hmm. There's the good, right? There's Frank's Red Hot and Sabra, which teamed up on a joint hummus, which this actually makes a lot of sense. Like hot sauce and hummus, I think, intuitively go well together.
Yeah. I mean, I like spicy hummus.
Yeah, exactly. Golf clap for that one. That's a brand made in snack heaven. This one, though, just completely disgusting. Skittles and French's created a mustard flavored Skittle, which I just don't even want to talk about it because I'm going to get sick to my stomach.
Yeah. So what's the point of all this? Why would it be good for Crocs and Pop-Tarts or any combination of random brands to get together?
Yeah. I mean, I think collaborations and brand partnerships like this have been around for a really long time, but the kind of volume of them today can be attributed to two things. And this article in Ad Age really kind of called it out. So first of all, the economy is really weird. A recent CMO survey found that a majority of execs reported a decrease in marketing spending, which I don't really think comes as any surprise. And with that economic tightening, there's more pressure than ever to attract attention. And so that's where these mashups kind of come in. These brands are looking for a cheap way to make noise and a cheap way to kind of get their brand in the airwaves. And Pop-Tarts, Croc Tarts, I mean, say no more. That's obviously going to get you some airtime. The other part of this, though, is it just plain works. Consumers are simple human beings who crave novelty, and similar promotions like this in the past have really been effective. In 2022, Dunkin' Donuts Makeup, which was a collab with ELF Cosmetics, drove a 52% lift in social impressions, and its partnership with retailer American Eagle scored almost 6 million TikTok views. So at the end of the day, this stuff actually does move the needle for these brands.
There's actually not that much available. This is a limited edition drop. Supposedly there's going to be 4 of them with 60 Croc Tart kits released each time. That's only around 240 sets of Croc Tarts.
It's super rare. And that scarcity plays a huge role in it.
So if you like breakfast pastries and slipper type of shoes, then you got to be quick.
Pop-Tarts and Crocs, they're probably going to crush it off of this.
right, everyone. That's going to do it for us today. Thank you for tuning into the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of the HubSpot Podcast Network. Our editor today is Robert Hartwig, and our executive producer is Darren Clarke. We got a lot more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. So if you're not subscribed, go get signed up immediately at thehustle.co/email. See you tomorrow.
Let me tell you about a show that I've been loving lately. It's called Entrepreneurs on Fire. It's hosted by the incredible John Lee Dumas. It's available now on the HubSpot Podcast Network. Entrepreneurs on Fire stokes inspiration and shares strategies to fire up your entrepreneurial journey and create the life that you've always dreamed of. I'm a big fan of this podcast. It has energy, it has value, and it's all about learning about entrepreneurship. I was just listening to an episode the other day. JLD interviewed Jay Rogers, who was such a wealth of information. He kind of went into how entrepreneurship chooses you. You don't necessarily choose it, and that failure only happens when you stop trying to win. A lot of gems in this one, so I highly recommend checking out that particular episode along with the rest. So go listen to Entrepreneurs on Fire wherever you get your podcasts. Hey guys, if you listen to the Hustle Daily Show on Google Podcasts, we want to let you know that the option will no longer be available pretty soon. Google is sunsetting its podcast app sometime in early 2024 in favor of YouTube Music, and we want to give you a heads up before it's too late since that time's almost here. The Hustle Daily Show is available everywhere and anywhere that you listen to podcasts like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you're using YouTube Music, we are there as well. If you're an Android fan, there are plenty of apps like Overcast, Pocket Casts, Player FM, and more. So just search for us wherever you decide to listen to your favorite podcasts.